Hi guys, welcome to or back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing a VSR 10 upgrade. Now I say a VSR 10 upgrade, it's actually going to be the SSG 10 from Novritsch, but it is a VSR 10 at the end of the day, so whatever I do to this will apply to the normal VSR. It's just a few little bits and pieces here and there. So what am I going to do? So I've done a little bit of a shooting test with this to give you an idea of how we're getting on with it, which I'll put up now. But before I do actually, I just want to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now, this is actually a pretty accurate gun out of the box. It's one of the better sniper rifles, even though I know a lot of people hate Novritsch, but you've got to give it to it. It is one of the better sniper rifles out of the box, but there are some issues with it. And they come down to partly a few bits with the cylinder binding with the hop and things like that, and also a little bit of consistency issue. So you'll get some good accurate shots, but you will get the odd flies here and there, and that's what I want to try and address, is try and get some real sharp consistency. So once you've zeroed your scope, you know it's pretty much going in that direction, and that's what we're going to be looking at with this build, and also a few operational things as well. When I did my review, I had some issues with the cylinder lineup with the hop and knocking bits of metal off and things like that. And it's something that can happen to any VSR. And I've tried various different guides. I've made some of my own, and I keep going backwards and forwards to try and get the right combo. But what we're going to do today is try and solve that problem once and for all. We're going to be sticking a different type of hop-up chamber in, because at the moment we've got the side adjustment, and it's better than the standard Tokyo Marine, there's no doubt about that. But I'm still not happy with the level of control over the hop. So we're going to try something different. We're going to say different. This is like the classic VSR. So this is like the classic VSR 10 upgrade with the Action Army hop unit. I've actually got an Action Army single piece receiver, because the actual Novritsch one, it's like the Tokyo Marine, it has a two-piece receiver. The back piece, I know why it's done so you can flip it to left-handed, but I want to eliminate the chance for any kind of misalignment or wobble or anything nasty in that receiver by making it one piece and making sure it's secure. We'll be keeping the trigger unit and everything as it is. We will be putting a tight bore in. I did think about putting a TNT or a Crazy Jet in, but there's two reasons I didn't. One is availability, because they're a pig to get hold of at the moment. I think I could have got Crazy Jet, but certainly not the TNT. And I also wanted to keep the barrel at 601 millimeters. I didn't want to go out to the slightly bigger bore, because this gun has been set up with a 601 in, and it's shooting really well with really consistent FPS. So I want to try and keep that little bit of consistency in there. We will be using a TNT hop unit, or hop rubber and nub. So that will be interesting to try. I have also got the maple leaf, so we can try that out. And we will also be installing a top dead center mod as well for the hop-up chamber. This barrel, if you saw my recent video where I painted this, you'll notice that the barrel's gone back to black. And the reason for that is I've actually got another barrel from Novritsch with the straight grooves in, because I figured it'd be a lot easier to line up and do the top dead center without it being slightly off with the actual screw pattern in there. So without further ado, let's take it apart and have a go at this. Right then guys, I've put it back together. I've repainted the barrel to match the bodywork, or the new barrel, the external barrel, and we've done the modifications, and I have some results which I want to show you. And then we'll go through what I did and what really made a difference to the consistency of this gun. I'm also interested in what didn't. So we'll have a look at it, and I'll show you these results now. So it's pretty much taken the course of a week to get all this together, just through doing modifications, trying them, putting it back together, taking it apart, stuff like that. And that's what it is with these sniper rifles, is it takes a bit of effort with them. So first of all, let's have a look at the gun in completely standard form. So this is the gun in standard form. This is 20 meters again, so not long distance, but I'm not after long distance here, I'm after consistency. And you can see from the results, we've got a grouping. A large amount of BBs went through this area here. Then we had some flyers around here, here, and down the bottom there. So that's what we're looking at. So it's not the worst results in the world by any means, but we're looking for a bit of consistency. So then we move on to the target with the Action Army hop unit, the TNT rubber and nub, and the maple leaf barrel. Now you may notice that it doesn't look that consistent either. A lot of the BBs went through here. You can see by the size of the hole, there are actually quite a few BBs went through here. Now I didn't catch this on film, unfortunately, because the camera stopped working while I was actually doing the shooting test. But a lot of BBs went through here. We did have some flyers, but it wasn't helped by the fact it was a windy day. We've had some really windy weather lately. But still, it wasn't the kind of consistency I wanted. Now the one thing I changed after that, there was one thing that I added to this, and it's right there. And that is the top dead center modification in the barrel, pushing down on the actual hop arm. And you can see the difference is quite stark. You've got pretty much all the BBs are going through this hole. You've got probably about 3 going through there, and then you've got a couple of flyers here. And the consistency there is massively improved. And I've not got the ground available to do a long distance test at the moment, but the reality is you want this consistently tight groupings at any distance, because it means the further the BBs fly, the more chance you've got of a consistent shot. And that's what we're looking for at the moment. It's not the maximum distance or anything like that. It's about consistency in the groupings of the BBs, because if you get the distance after that, well, they look after themselves, don't they? So what I've done with this thing, this is the original hop unit and the original barrel from the SSG 10, and it's pretty much the same as, well, it's very similar to a VSR 10. The difference is the hop arm's different in this, and the way you've got a little metal pressure, like tube putting pressure on the hop arm here for the actual hop adjustment. And we've got the maple leaf Autobot bucking as well. Now there's just something I want to show you with this. So Novritsch did a reasonable job of modifying a standard VSR 10 or BAR 10 hop unit. What he did, he basically put this hop arm, which is nicely made, nicely machined, with 2 spaces to stop any kind of lateral movement in the actual hop arm. And that's what you don't want. You don't want this lateral movement, but you also don't want it to flex up and down. Now that's all great and it works really well, coupled with this maple leaf Autobot bucking, but there is still movement. And if this is a plastic piece, this is, and if you move it backwards and forwards, I don't know if you can see it on camera actually, you may not be able to see this on camera, but as you move it backwards and forwards, there is a little bit of movement on the top of the hop arm. Now obviously you're not going to be running around and this is going to be moving all over the place because it's trapped inside the barrel, but it does make a difference. Every time a BB presses through the barrel, it presses on the hop rubber, you'll get movement. And that's what causes inconsistencies or odd shots. Now, it's all about getting rid of any movement in that hot rubber. You want it so when you've got it set, everything is solid and it's not going to budge. And that's where custom made, or not even custom made, but accurately made, machined, billet hop units come in. And the Action Army isn't perfect. It does have lateral movement in it. I made some shims to go either side of the hop arm to stop it from moving. Only very thin shim still, just either side, just to stop any lateral movement backward and forwards. But the real difference is the top dead center, which pushes down on the hop arm to give you a finer adjustment. So the TDC mod I used is actually from, it's called Gunsmithy, and I got it from Skirm Shop. Now, these are not the cheapest things in the world. They're about £30 roughly, and you have to obviously fit them yourselves. They don't come fitted in a barrel or anything like that, but they give you very fine adjustment over the hop arm, and it presses down, which means you don't get any flex or any movement. It's really, really, really good mod, and it made a huge difference. And I've also managed to increase the amount of hop adjustability I've got. So even when this is only just applying, I've got much more hop than I ever had with the Novritsch or the VSR 10 hop unit. I have far more adjustment on this, but obviously you have got to have a little bit of skill, not a lot of skill to fit them. This is essentially just glued onto the top of the barrel. Drill a hole in the top of the barrel and you glue the actual guide piece on there, which you can see, if I can get it into the camera shot, you can see how it's actually attached. So yeah, and it works an absolute treat. If I pop the magazine out, you can actually see inside there, that is the Action Army hop unit. Now the one thing you want to think about these for actual use as well is I've changed out the receiver, and the reason I've done that is less to do with accuracy and consistency, but more to do with the use of the rifle. So it's the operation of the rifle as much as anything. So if we cock this now, we've got a nice smooth cock, we push it back in, we don't have any binding, that's the most important thing. Push it back in, the only thing it's catching on are the actual stoppers inside the hop unit that stop the BBs from all dashing down the barrel and keep it in place. Close it down, and away we go. And it works really well, and you can actually see that when it gets to the point of resistance, it's actually already in the barrel or inside the hop unit. Just push it in past the springed locators that keep the BBs in place, and lock it down, and away you go. So next thing is, how good is the air seal? Has it actually worked well? So we'll put a finger over the end, we can hold it in, no sounds, and away you go. The air seal is actually better than the original. You can tell the air seal is good in this compared to the other one. The other one was good, it held the air and it went pop when you took your finger off. But with this one, the piston's not coming forwards quite as far, so we're capturing more of the volume in the actual barrel than we did on the old one. Why? I'm not absolutely sure. I did use a little bit of silicone on the hop rubber. I always seal the end of it with silicone. Some people don't like it, some people do. I find it works really well on stuff like this, so I always do it. Another modification I've done on this to try and help with the piston locating in the hop chamber, because the one thing I don't want it to do is be taking chunks out of the hop chamber as the nozzle's going in and out. So one thing I did do was make a plastic ring to fit on the end of the cylinder, and what it does, it basically keeps it centered within the barrel, so when you're pushing it forwards, when you go forward, you're not getting that binding, it's not hitting the side of the hop unit and moving around, it's just locating straight in. There's no swarf in there, it's just a good solid operation. No problems at all with that. The one thing you've got to consider when you put a top dead center on is it will interfere with your scope. I've put one of these custom Geisley super precision scope mounts on here, just try and lift the scope up a little bit just to give me some extra clearance on there, and it works a treat. No, it's not a genuine Geisley, it is, you know, a Chinese copy, but there you go. It has got a little bubble in the back, but it's incredibly hard to see, to be honest. But yeah, I'll probably be replacing this anyway with a maple leaf raised rail on there anyway, because this is a bit much for the sniper rifle. But other than that, this is now working really well, and there's not a lot else that I want to do to it. Now the barrel I used in this is actually an Action Army 601 type bore barrel. I wanted to keep the 601 bore because I knew I was getting good consistent FPS, just under 500 FPS. This is currently running about 490, give or take 1 or 2 FPS. It's very, very, very consistent, and it's working well. We put the Action Army hop unit in there to match it, which is a given for the VSR 10, and also the ASO 2 is pretty much regarded as one of the better hop units out there that you can use. A lot of people like them, a lot of people use them. We've put the TNT hop rubber in there. We've put the TNT hop nub in there in the top, and that seems to be working well. You do have to discount a couple of parts from the Smithy top dead center because that's made to work with the original VSR 10 style. That's not a problem. You have to be a little bit more careful where you place it and make sure you measure it properly so it's working, you're not hitting anything you don't want to. And yeah, that's it. I've not actually done anything else to the cylinder side other than change the receiver for the single, the one-piece unit, which for me is just for better use. Basically, it doesn't make any difference that I've noticed to the accuracy. It just makes it more usable. You know, it makes it nicer to use, should I say. The guide rings are better with that ring on the front. It's just smoother. It goes in and out a bit better. It's just nicer to use. The trigger box is fantastic on the SSG 10 anyway. If it's a VSR, obviously you're going to be wanting to look at changing that to something else. This is based on the bull trigger, and honestly it is so nice. So Novritsch really nailed the trigger on this. So everything else I've done to this, I don't think I'm going to change this anymore for the time being. I'm going to run it now, see how we get on. It's a lot more consistent, a lot nicer to use, and yeah, it feels pretty good. I've got a pink flamingo bucking in my box in the workshop that I can try, so I may do that at some point to try it out, see what it's like. But other than that, I'm really happy with the results. If anyone wants to know why I didn't use the TNT barrel or a Crazy Jet barrel like I've got in my ASO2, it's a good question. And the reason is they're slightly wider bore than standard. So this gun has been set up with a 601 type bore in there to set the FPS at around 490 to 500 FPS. And if you put that wider bore in there, is possibility you may get a little bit of a drop. Now the wide bores aren't a problem. They are fantastic if you've got the air volume to run it. They are really, really good barrels. But I just wanted to keep some consistency in that. Whether I use one in the future, you never know. But I don't plan to, put it that way, because I am happy with what we've got at the moment. And yeah, that's where we are at the moment. That's the reason I didn't go down that route, is I didn't want to have to start messing with the cylinder, changing springs or trying to fine tune that when I know it's working well. And that's why I went for the Action Army. And I also wanted to try the Action Army barrels because at the end of the day, guys, they're cheap. They are really good value for money from what I can see. And this is firing really well with it. So I don't really want to change it straight away. The one thing you do have to be aware of, if you put a TNT hop rubber in there though, you have to grind open the hop window. It's a little bit too small. So I just took literally 0.5 millimeter off it. I did it on my milling machine, but you can do it with a file or a Dremel, no problem, as long as you're careful. And make sure that either side is equal. And it does work really well if you do that. And yeah, it works out great. Okay guys, so that is the Novritsch for now. I have got a couple of other videos coming up soon. I've got one kit video where we look at a new piece of gear. Well, it's not really new, but it's I don't see many of them around. And we're also going to be looking at another rifle, and we're going to be looking at airsoft bargains as to whether there really are any out there when you have sales. So that's it guys. Thanks for watching, and remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.